So thank you very much, all of you, for taking out time, for flying in from different cities and being part of this. Mr. Chandak, let me start with you. You presented a vision document to the IT minister, but give us perspective on where we are today in terms of semiconductor, and where are the gaps, how far do we have to go? Give us an overview of where we are, because ISM 1 was very ambitious, the India Semiconductor Mission 1, with an outlay of $10 billion. I think nearly a dozen projects sanctioned in different parts of the country. We are gearing up for India Semiconductor Mission 2.0. We'll ask Mr. Sushil Pal more on that later. But tell us about, your own assessment of where we are today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you all today, guys. India is really making a major progress in the semiconductor journey. And I would call we're at a turning point in the sense that it is not just incremental, but a major leap. And I will explain how. In addition, we are also making a progress in terms of our overall ESDM's ecosystem. So today, if we look back a few years ago, we had no projects approved for semiconductor manufacturing or ATMPs or OSATs. The electronics manufacturing was just about to begin. Now already we have, if I look at the India map, and I can circulate that copy to you, there are 16 projects. Those are running on ground for semiconductor manufacturing, including ATMPs. 10 of them are already approved by MeitY under India Semiconductor Mission.
16 in various parts
of the country.
And this is from northeast to north
everywhere.
India,
You look
to
at
south to the west.
You look at the Gujarat, you look at the Assam, the entire east-west is covered. You look at UP now, you go down up to Chennai areas, and then everything is covered, including the central area, Chhattisgarh, all those. And these are all progressing now, and we will see very soon the chips, those are assembled and packaged in the country very soon. The fab takes time. One thing everybody need to understand that the semiconductor manufacturing is a bit long haul. And many times it is assumed by people that once the project is approved, next year, where is the output? What is the outcome? What is the impact? Where are the chips and how it is going? It takes time. But we are making good progress. Today, we are at an unprecedented scale of electronics manufacturing in the country. We are also in parallel growing our semiconductor supply. Number two, we are also having the largest design pool of the chip design engineers worldwide sitting right in India. So you would see that design and all manufacturing, we are stepping up. We are making good progress actually. Obviously, the biggest shortfall we have is India does not have the manufacturing technology. And that is where we are dependent on the other countries. And because of the strategic importance of semiconductor, which is more understood during last few years, many countries are probably a little bit holding back. But I want to give you an example that recently we had a Semicon event in just a couple of months ago in Delhi. And we had CXOs of almost 45 companies visiting in India. And 25 of those CXOs met Honorable Prime Minister. Mr. Paul was there, including MeitY officials actually. So the things are progressing. The worldwide now we see that the other countries are looking at a trustworthy partner, a democratic trustworthy partner, and that is where the India really makes sense. And many countries are looking at now expanding that relationship with us. And I would say that over the next few years, we can see this journey accelerating much in a further momentous way. And we will see those India chips utilized into our electronics manufacturing.
Right. Thank you for that perspective from an industry ecosystem perspective on where we are. As you said, there's a lot of impatience that, where are the chips and projects, 10 projects, 12 projects have been sanctioned, but, nothing is out yet. But as you said, it's a very long haul process. Let's in fact hear it from the players. We have three big players on stage, Micron, Analog Devices, as well as Kaynes Semicon. If you can give us your own perspective of global players operating in India, of where you see the semiconductor journey. Are you excited about the market from a talent perspective? Can we go beyond the whole ATMP and OSAT process? If you can give us your perspective.
Yeah. Chandra, so we just started in the manufacturing journey as Ashok described now, but we should not forget that for last 35 or 40 years, India is already part of the semiconductor design ecosystem around the world. So it was started by Texas Instruments in 1985, and subsequently today, if you see, almost every top 25 semiconductor company in the world has a chip design center. And that's a high value added job. So that's the strength of India already existing for last 20 plus years. Roughly 20% of the semiconductor design engineers of the world are operating from India. It has been more with multinational historically, but now in last 5 years, with the design-linked incentive schemes of the mighty Government of India, we can see a mushrooming of many Indian startups doing chip design here.
Right.
So that is a historical strength of India, and I think that strength has been utilized by global companies in terms of the large talent pool, and now it is becoming strength for the startups also. So while manufacturing is a new activity and it's a long haul, it will take time and we have to get there. But we should not forget that this element of semiconductor is a strength of India already for many years, and we should continue to strengthen this.
In terms of the chip design capabilities.
Yeah, chip design
that we
capability. Today, if 20% of the workforce is here, my wish is it should be 25%, 30% of the world chip design workforce could be here. That's also an important part of the global ecosystem.
Right. Vyshali?
Thank you. And I'll pick up from where Vivek is, left with respect to the design incentive conversation, right? On a lighter note, I think when I hear, folks across different governments speaking about incentives and creating the policy infrastructure that really works for many of us as organizations on the other side, I remember a startup from one of the DLI, participants mentioning, we were expecting a red tape, but we've actually received red carpet. It's actually a shift that we've all experienced in many, many ways. And I'm pretty sure, folks on the stage can also experience it from their organizations, right? What we got right was infrastructure, talent, with respect to India. Again, I just go back to those 4 points that I go back and say on what worked really well for India. Infrastructure, talent, we've got great policies and infrastructure right now. But what got us here will not get us there with respect to where we should go in the next 20 years for becoming Viksit Bharat. We should really, I think, align on becoming a little bit more on designing, developing innovation and co-innovation as well, as we could see. Design as well, we've got R&D centers in both, in different parts of the country. We have a little over 5,500 of us who operate only on R&D. We're the largest semiconductor GCC as Micron in India, who set up their R&D first for the last 6 years and come up with the manufacturing or the back-end manufacturing that's coming up in Sanand. I think great pieces with respect to infrastructure policy have been called out. There is a greater need for talent. There's a greater need for incentive stack that we need to go back and work across with. And 3 things I think that will really, really need to align, and the way that I currently see them as levers is R&D university, R&D grants that you do, and how do you link it to the commercialization for most of us as organizations so that there are commercialized outcomes. Second, with respect to universities that need industry level, industry graded lab access, which is something that's not really talked about in the last, ISM 1.0. I think it needs a lot of discussion there. And of course, the third one with respect to DLI ecosystem of startups that we currently have. How do we bring more pathways to procurement for them as well as an ecosystem that we need to go back and look at? So these 3 pieces, I think, will also need a little bit more push with respect to where we see ISM 2.0 and of course what worked well.
Dr. Wasi Uddin, you've sort of been on the other side.
Yeah, that's true. So we need to understand from a point of view of the whole ecosystem. So sir, talk about the chip design activity.
Yeah.
We are a OSAT which package the chip after the chip is coming out of the fab. But we also need package design engineers, package design ecosystem. That's very important and very rare in the country. I'm facing a lot of problem getting a right lead frame design engineer. So those kind of skill set that can be used for using the DLI scheme. There are tools available. Even simulation softwares like HFSS, access to that if students have, they can solve the problem, real world problem of our customers right now. That is one possibility. Second, on the overall perspective, we also need to think that the overall ecosystem can be built. For example, in UP, if there is a limitation on budget, but from the government side, there is no restriction on the budget side. If investors do not want to open a fab, there are so much thing in the ecosystem. I give you one example. One is the lead frame. In the country, no one is making lead frame for us. We need to import that. Lead frame is what, just a copper strip stamped with some design tool. That's not a very complex process. It's a simple process, at least what we are doing. And India, all the OSAT which are setting up the plant, my estimate is more than 90% are the lead frame based packages which we are doing. There's a huge demand. More than 2.5 billion lead frame strips are required. So this is a total more than 3,000 crore market. Someone need to see all other aspect of the ecosystem to grow. And from the policy side, I think we need to include more towards the semiconductor ecosystem players, more ancillaries to be supported. For example, specialty gases, chemicals, lead frame, molding compound, all those which we use. These all, check the bomb, how they make it. So for example, the bonding wires, making of an aluminum wire using a drawing process is not that complex as making a chip. So that can be done. And this is only single one material. If it is aluminum, it is only aluminum. But in a chip, there are a lot of material. So we can see that there are various opportunity to look at from the investment point of view.
Right. Interestingly, all of you mentioned issues around talent. And I think Gujarat has set up a university to just train people on skills related to semiconductors. In fact, we are going to have him discuss it with us in one of the sessions. But Mr. Chandak, do you think that will be the answer, that, we need dedicated universities, dedicated efforts for this? This is not going to come by rebadging, retraining, like what we've done with IT services for the last 20, 30 years. That these are very specialized skills. And interestingly, this is I mean, at a time when people are talking about jobs getting displaced because of AI, here you have a conundrum where you have the jobs, but you don't have the talent for that, despite having so many STEM graduates in the country.
Talent or the skilled manpower for semiconductor industry is going to be a big problem next 5 years. Worldwide, whatever some of the surveys and research, market research has been done, when I look into that, the demand for these specialized roles is increasing manifold, and those do not exist actually.
So is this an India problem or a worldwide?
It's a world problem. It's a world problem. I'm coming to the world problem first. Worldwide is a problem actually. And why I bring that world problem is because India can fill the void, and India has an opportunity in that case. So based on some of the estimate, by 2030, there is at least 700,000 shortage of manpower for a semiconductor industry, from design to manufacturing, everything. Why? Because the skill sets requirements have changed, and they are changing going forward. We are moving to a very different technology node. We are moving towards the supercomputing and all those things, GPUs, plus the quantum is coming up, and on the manufacturing side, design side, equally same. Now, the advantage and point here is, in India, we have so many technical universities, including UP, we have 400 colleges plus, and many states. There are, the task for us now is, how do we train these people? So there are two things to be done. Number one, the curriculum has to be updated and modified so that it reflects the requirement of the future, not for yesterday. And that is a discussion which IESA as a body also have started with many institutes. And number two, anticipating those manufacturing scale-up that is going to happen in the country, we need to build this manufacturing-related training programs. And we started that. I'll give you one example. We recently did a 5-day workshop and training program with IIT BHU. 2,600 people registered actually for the program.
Wow.
That's more than 5 times more than our initial estimate. We thought we will do 500 people, and we had 2,500 people. So there is a lot of curiosity, interest in the semiconductor world by the students community as well as the faculty and industry, as they know this is a very lucrative and very good job prospect, and we need to build on that. So I think it is the industry and institute those have started now working much more collaboratively to create these curriculum updates, the training programs and the practical training programs, so that we fulfill that void of the talent which is coming up for future actually.
Got it. As you know, 3 important companies, Micron, Analog and Kaynes. Tell us about the potential that you see in Uttar Pradesh, because if you look at it from an R&D perspective, whether it's a Qualcomm, whether it's an NXP, whether it's a MediaTek, whether it's a Renesas, all of them have set up R&D centers in Noida. I think UP produces 50% of mobile devices in the country. So electronics, there's already a hockey stick kind of growth. What potential do you see in the state? Do you think that it can emerge as a semicon electronics hub, an R&D hub? Like Bangalore. I mean, you've seen what AMD says about Bangalore, that, it's going to be the chip design hub for them. But what potential do you see in UP, considering the government is rolling out the red carpet and putting together a brand new airport to tackle the logistics, tackling power, water, and so on?
So Bangalore obviously have, a head start over the other cities, because 1985, the first chip design center was set up in Bangalore. Yeah. And then even the company I represent, Analog Devices, today celebrating 30th year anniversary of being in India, starting from Bangalore. But besides Bangalore, in last, I would say, almost 15 to 20 years, Hyderabad and Noida have really emerged as the center of excellence for semiconductor design and R&D for various global companies. So all the companies you named, Chandra, all of them have R&D centers in Noida. And I think with the 400 engineering colleges that Ashok mentioned in UP and other nearby states, I think there's an immense potential to grow R&D for semiconductors, which is already existing. On the other electronic equipment, what I see is more of a manufacturing that's happening today in Noida area, like mobile phone you mentioned, and that too more of assembly. I'm not saying it's not important, it's important, but unless there are Indian or global companies also start designing those electronic equipment, that will really kickstart a different kind of activity in India, much higher value addition, much higher paying jobs, creating more intellectual property in India. And when there's more electronic equipment design led manufacturing, then the demand for real semiconductor will also grow much more. Because today, all these mobile phone production is based on, kits coming from overseas and assembly taking place. Definitely creating jobs, and it's good for our economy, and we are exporting. But in the future, if it is more design-led manufacturing, then it creates a different set of value addition in our economy. And that way, I think definitely Noida, Greater Noida, and as the infrastructure in UP improves with the highways, it actually will spread to other parts of the state as well. So there's an immense potential there.
Right. Vyshali?
If I can quickly add, I think I concur with what Ashok and Vivek have mentioned. Also look at what we could do with the startup ecosystem, right? Because that's also equally important, where we move beyond wafers or manufacturing. We also go a little bit more into IP creation. While there's domestic market that we can explore from a manufacturing perspective, I think from an IP creation perspective as well, especially focusing on R&D, we really need to see how do we monetize that part of the business as well. So maybe creating larger comprehensive startup policy that can sit on top of the existing semiconductor policy would be a great idea. And then, bringing in more incubation acceleration programs. As I said, how do you create the pathways to procurement for startups, make it a lot more easier as well for design-led startups who are working, fabless startups who are already working, so that everything goes hand in hand, I think would be a great addition to the existing work that's already being done.
Right.
So I'll start with the UP government electronic policy. I have read that policy, and now I can recall the one section which dedicates to the R&D. So that section, what we did is we talked to the one of the institute in Uttar Pradesh, which is Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. But we are not very happy to do with Kanpur. It's not reason because they're already a privileged institution. We don't have the much better choices at that point in time when we were discussing. But the problem need to be solved. Problem can be solved in various ways. Industry participation is very important. Each university should have a board of studies which will drive the curriculum as per the industry need, and they should appoint the board of studies member from the industry. So I've been into the member from last 2 years, 2-3 universities. I'm board of studies member. So those kind of arrangement should be there. More participation from the industry should come, and that will drive the education system in terms of the industry need. And second thing is the colleges which are in UP, which are not having access to those facility, some hub and spoke kind of model need to be adapted, whether, for example, an IIT Kanpur like institution or MNIT, those kind of institutions should be set up as a hub, and the other institutions should be connected to them for research and development. DLI schemes can also be used for that. So, and there is a chip to startup scheme from the government. You talked about the IP creation. If there is a possibility, if DY Patil University of Pune can get that, why not Indian universities can get? UP universities can get that. So those are the points which we need to work.
Great. On that note, thank you all very much for your very valuable insights. Can we have a round of applause? Thank you very much.